What's going on, guys? Nathan from Western Reviews here, and today we got our first ever review for the channel, and it's going to be of this GMWD LE08. So this particular machine is a 2-in-1 with a leg extension and prone leg curl just in one machine. There wasn't really much information out about it, so I decided that, this would be a good place to start for the channel. As we go throughout the video, I'll break the review into chapters if you're only here for particular information, but the TLDR is that it's going to cost you about $1,000, give or take, for this particular unit. It's built like an absolute tank, offers pretty good resistance profiles, and is decently consistent in the movements with good pre-stretch, but the backrest could use some adjustability and the adjustment holes could use some labeling. So we'll go through everything ranging from the transport and the unboxing all the way till setup and performance. But without further ado, let's get into it. Hopefully that worked out. Probably didn't, but nice little cinematic shot. I don't think there's anything left to do. It's instead of oh god, do YouTube, they say. It'll be easy, they say. Alright guys, hardest part out of the way. Let's go ahead and crack into these bad boys and see how the packaging looks. All right, so here's how we look in each of the two boxes. Seems to be generally all right. As far as the actual condition of the boxes themselves upon arrival, they seem to be in pretty good shape. Nothing that you wouldn't expect from a couple 100 pounds of shipment. Finally done. Last and most satisfying part. Oh yeah. Overall, the build process was pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I did have a bit of difficulty getting the back pad on, but the only thing that I think worth noting is that I actually got longer bolts to support the gas spring, because what they supplied, it just didn't have very many threads that were connecting to the support here. And since that's holding most of the weight, I opted to get another bolt, and I'll put that on the screen now. It was code AJE from Home Depot, and a couple of the washers were the incorrect size too, so I also got a couple replacements for that, and that was code ACB. All right, so before we get into the performance of the machine, I'm just gonna talk a bit about the overall quality and some of its features. So regarding its build and finish, this thing is built like an absolute tank. So it weighs 123 pounds. Even when I'm shaking it with all my might, I really can't get this thing to budge at all. And the rubber feet down at the bottom are definitely helping with that. Now, the powder coat is decent. It's about what you'd expect for the price point, and everything came in generally good condition. There was just a few little cosmetic scratches down here at the bottom, which I could show a picture of now. In terms of its footprint, whenever it's at its widest point for all the adjustments here, you're gonna need around 62 inches by 58 inches. And that's with this backrest flipped down as well. The padding on this is nice and firm and thick, and the vinyl is grippy, but not too grippy. And so, you know, something that I was actually nervous about when I got this unit was if the leg roller was going to, you know, rip at my leg hair, because Lord knows I have plenty of it. And it actually doesn't. So in both the movements, I don't really have to worry about that at all. So that's great. You know, the backrest, like I was saying, is comfortable, and the actual seat itself is very wide. So, you know, plenty of space to accommodate both movements. So you're gonna be loading all of your weight right onto this weight pin right here, which can support up to 330 pounds. Just keep in mind that, you know, a clamp isn't provided, so you gotta supply one yourself. Now, this is on a felt load adjustable system here. So all you have to do to change from a 1-to-1 felt load to a 1.1 to a 1.2 is just lift this up and slide. And it's on the same type of guide rod path that a Smith machine would follow. So it's very easy to change it, even when there's weight on there. In order to switch between the movements, all you have to do is just pull this in and snap it back. So it's very easy to adjust, but the problem is that because it's a one pull pin, there's no tilt in the back pad and there's no forward and backward movement. So it's not really gonna be able to accommodate those taller users, and it's not really gonna allow you to move back on the machine. So the research shows that if you lean further back on your leg extensions, that you're gonna pre-stretch your rectus femoris, so that's actually gonna increase your quad and your leg gains. So although it's great that it moves in one piece and it's easy, I would almost prefer for it to kind of move individually so that you can pick and choose how you wanna do the movement itself. Now, the adjustments here, there's 8 holes that it can adjust on the actual frame, and then 7 holes that it can actually adjust on the leg roller itself. This is a 2-in-1 machine, right? And so this pull pin right here allows you to very easily change between the movements. And the way everything's designed right here with this gas spring, you have a fairly even resistance curve. Now, I did take a fish scale for the leg extension and the leg curl, and found that although it's relatively even, it actually biases the stretch in both movements. And the research shows that, you know, you do want it heavier in the lengthened portion of the movements. So, you know, this is doing things that a full-on commercial, very, very expensive machine doesn't even do. So this is the setup I use here for the leg extension portion. And so what's great here is, I don't know if you can kind of see this on the angle, but the leg roller is actually starting under the seat, right? So by the time I actually get into position, my leg is already pre-stretched, which you don't even get with a lot of the commercial grade equipment. The movement itself feels really comfortable throughout the range of motion. And I think that one of the reasons for that is the wide leg roller that it comes with. So my girlfriend also tested it out and she had nothing but good things to say about it too. Something that I like about it is that the frame itself is very sturdy. So you have the option to use just one leg at a time to do single leg extensions. And I feel like that's not really the case for a lot of the home gym extension machines because most of the frames will bend. But one last thing that I think is worth noting is that you can actually grab onto the counterweight, which is great because whenever you're hitting failure, you can grab onto the counterweight and row it to you and get some force reps in there as well. This is the setup for the prone leg curl. It's really easy to switch, as I've already shown, with the one pull pin, and the seat itself is angled at 15 degrees. So you're able to get a lot of hip flexion in there, and therefore you're able to get a lot of stretch at the bottom of the movement as well. So the range of motion feels pretty consistent throughout. But with that being said, there is a slight bias towards the bottom of the movement, the stretch of the movement, which is great. Overall, the lying leg curl on this feels great. Just like the leg extension, it feels consistent throughout the range of motion and has great stretch. And it's just about what you get from a commercial piece of equipment in any gym, which is great for the price point. Now, if you're too tall for the machine, something that I thought of that you can try doing is getting some type of wedge. This particular one is from AbMat, it's the chest up pad. But if you see, if I put it down here, it actually increases the angle, so it's no longer a 15-degree pad. It's much steeper than that, so that would give you a lot more hip flexion and allow you to get a deeper stretch if you're not able to max out the machine yourself with your height. So GMWD doesn't really market it to be able to do this, but because the pad itself is angled and it's very thick and comfortable, you can actually do hip thrusts with this fairly easily. So I'll put a clip up now of my girlfriend doing the hip thrusts here. In my research for competitors for this particular unit, I could really only find 2 that were similar in build quality for it being plate loaded, or in there being another distributor for this exact piece of kit. So there is the Bolt Sentian. That looks like just about the exact same machine, just with slightly different modifications and a different powder coat. But that runs right around $1,700 plus $700 shipping, whereas this is about $1,000 including shipping. So it's gonna be way cheaper there. I also found another distributor, Hamilton Fitness, that also distributes this piece of equipment, but they are $1,300 with shipping included, right? So another $300 extra. So, if you want a very high quality piece of equipment at this commercial almost level build quality, but you don't want to pay that additional money, then this is going to be your best bet as far as what unit to choose. In my opinion, this is a fantastic machine. I don't think would be able to go back to the cheaper end versions like the Rit Fits or the Alliance Cools of the world. But I'm really liking in general too, just GMWD's new brand language, brand design, right? So the almost overbuilt commercial quality machines, typical to what you're seeing for the chest press, shoulder press combo unit that they have, their new rower that they just released, their 3D hip thrust. It's all looking really good. So I'm excited to see what they come out with next. And with that being said, this particular product is from a product line that I found on Alibaba. So I'd be curious to see if in the future they're going to release anything from that line in addition to this. And I'll go ahead and put some screenshots up for what I'm talking about as I'm chatting through this. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for the first ever review for the channel and of the GMWD LE08. If there's any questions that I didn't answer throughout the video that you still are wondering about, drop a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer those as quick as I can. If you're thinking about picking one of these up, please use the link down in the description because that will give me a commission, but it won't cost anything extra to you. So it just helps keep the channel going to continue reviews like these. But with that said, that's the first review in the books. So be sure to subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment for the algorithm. And I will catch you in the next one. See ya.